In this session, you will learn how you can use flat files to build and optimize your backend of your Amazon product listings. Our guest today will be Vanessa Hank. She's the CEO of Online Seller Solutions, and they help Amazon sellers with different issues at Seller Central accounts. And this session is part of Seller Fest online virtual event. And this event is sponsored by three companies. These companies are, let's start with Carbon6. Carbon6 is a suite of tools that makes it simple to optimize and streamline any aspect of your Amazon business. You can find the link below in the description. The next company is a Quartile. It's an AI, artificial intelligence powered advertising optimization platform that helps sellers and brand owners to maximize their presence in e-commerce. And you will find their link below in the description as well. And finally, last but not least, Getida is an Amazon FBA auditing company. They help to maximize FBA reimbursements for sellers of any size. And again, in the description of this video, you will find an offer and a link to them. And during this session, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to click the like and subscribe buttons below. And this session I'm hosting together with Lisette. Hello, Lisette. She works with different brands and hosts Orange Click videos.
Hi, Augustus. Thank you so much. Great to be back here and also introduce our next guest, who is Vanessa. And Vanessa will talk about different flat files. So before we go to the topic, could you please first introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background?
Perfect. Thank you, guys. I'm so excited to be here and welcome everybody that is in Sellerfest. So a little bit more about myself. I'm based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And in Online Seller Solutions, we run an agency that helps sellers with the tedious, very hard, and sometimes difficult issues in their Seller Central. So many of us that are selling on Amazon will need to focus on things like how can I sell more, how can I develop a better product, but then throughout the journey we encounter a lot of issues in Seller Central. So dealing with seller support or understanding how our account health or performance works, those are the kind of things that we specialize. And my favorite part of everything that it's inside of Amazon or in Seller Central is flat files. So I love to deal with catalog issues. I love to solve problems through flat files, and that's what I'm going to be teaching you today. How to work with them, how to use them, and what are the considerations that you need to have before you go into them, because sometimes these files are very complex for many sellers because we don't understand the basics or the principles of how they get ruled. And that's what I'll be sharing. And at the end, we're going to have a quick section of Q&A. So if you have any issues, any catalog issues that you want me to give you an advice or solve it like on the fly, that'll be amazing. And also related to flat file questions, that'll be also perfect.
Yeah, I think our viewers already love the fact that you love flat files before even you do your presentation. So, but I know you have your presentation ready for us as well. So yeah, let's get started.
Perfect. So this is a Amazon backend optimization. And for you to understand, we have two things. The front end, which is the product detail page, the thing we see on Amazon.com, that's the reflection of everything that happens in the backend. And in the backend, we have two different versions or ways to fix it. Through the UI, through Seller Central, and using the edit button and all the things that are in the backend, or with flat files, which is, in my opinion, the most powerful tool that we have in the catalog, and I'm gonna show you why. So the first thing that I want you to know is that you being here is an amazing step, and you're gonna go to the other 4 sellers that will know how to use flat files. According to our research and that we did throughout our social media channels, 6 out of 10 Amazon sellers don't know what a flat file is or don't know how to use it. And some of the issues that they encounter with Flatfile is that they are very complicated, they are frustrated, or they are afraid that if they use them, they're gonna break something in their account, which could happen if you don't understand them and if you start playing without any kind of guidance. And that's what I'm gonna be explaining here, and how you can use them to be a better seller and protect your listing and get the most amount of SEO in your backend. So let's get started. Before we jump into the flat file, I need you to understand the contribution rights of an Amazon catalog. So many of the issues that we encounter when we are trying to change stuff in the backend come from a contribution rights pyramid when there are discrepancies throughout the catalog. So to explain in a little bit, is that every time we make a change or contribute to a listing or create a listing on Amazon's catalog, that listing and that particular feature gets assigned a certain amount of points that depend on the status of our account or the type of account we have. So as you can see at the bottom of the pyramid are the sellers. Okay, individual sellers are the ones that are not professional, the ones that don't pay a membership, and the individual sellers only have 20%. So it's the lowest amount of points. Then we have professional sellers, which are the ones that are paying the fee, the professional fee, but, and this is a huge but, don't have brand registry. So if you can see here, the blue section, none of the sellers in the blue section have brand registry. So when you don't have brand registry, the contributions you make to any listings go to 30 points. And this is a point-based system of 100. So if there is anybody in your listing contributing that has more points than you won't be able to override it. And this applies, so the blue section applies for resellers. So if anybody here is a reseller and you're selling a nice listing, but you want to make better changes to the title because you think you can index better, that's very complex to do and probably impossible, because since you're a professional seller that didn't create the listing nor owns the brand registry, those attributes or that listing is completely locked. So on top of them, so who helps the sellers is the catalog team. So the catalog team is the internal team in seller support that you open the case and will help you to resolve any catalog issues. They are able to override any other professional or individual seller. So if we're talking about two sellers that don't have a brand registry that are contributing to one listing, but then you open a case and ask for help from the catalog team, they will be able to override any of you. And the one thing here, big thing, is once the catalog team or once any internal team from Amazon makes a change to a listing or to that specific attribute in a listing, that becomes owned by Amazon. So that attribute has the most amount of points they have, and it's very, very difficult to override it. So then we have the green, which is the brand register sellers. Okay, those are 52 points. With 52 points, we own the listings most of the time, since everybody else in Seller Central, if you see down, technically has less amount of points than you have. You own and you're able to change your listing, but sometimes there are hijackers, and you have probably heard some horror stories about people hijacking other listings and so on. So that's something that it is possible to happen, but with brand registry, the most amount of attributes are locked just by having it. The department that helps them is the brand registry team that can be only contacted via email. And they can override anybody below in the pyramid. So both brand registry sellers and professional or individual sellers. even more that the catalog team. That's why sometimes if you have brand registry and you call the catalog team, they will tell you, no, this is a brand registry team issue. So because they don't have the amount of points. Then in the red section, we have vendors, 1P, Vendor Central. They override anybody. And in my experience, most listings that get hijacked with brand registry is because they get changed through a Vendor Central. And that's very hard to change, because once it's changing Vendor Central, it becomes owned by the retail team. And the retail team is basically Amazon itself. And on top of the pyramid, we have the internal teams being at the highest level, which 99 with 99 points is the FC team, the fulfillment centers. But huge thing here, fulfillment centers are only able to change the dimensions of your product, dimensions, weight, and things related to FBA. And this is important because sometimes when we send stuff to FBA, you cannot make changes to the dimensions they put in the back end just by changing it with a flat file or through the UI. Why? Because they own the most amount of points on that contribution. That's why we sometimes need to open a case and ask for a cubic scan and all that. Only through that process is that we will be able to change dimensions. There is no other way, just because of the contribution points. They are at the top of the pyramid. Nobody else can override them. So this theory is important. Why? Because I don't want to sell you the dream of like, yeah, flat files is a superpower and you can do everything with them. You can do the most amount of things if you are positioned in the right way in the pyramid. But if you don't, it is a waste of time trying to use flat files to override things that are just not possible. So, and also, once you understand this theory and you try to make changes, you will ask the right questions when you are looking for help, especially with the internal teams. If you cannot change your own title and your brand registry and all this stuff, you can ask them and they will tell you who's contributing to that attribute, and you will be able to fix it if they allow you to, or they remove that contribution in the backend. So let's keep going. A quick intro. What are flat files? So we've been talking about flat files, and probably maybe some of you don't know. If you're still in the 60% of the sellers that don't know what a flat file is, these are spreadsheets, templates given by Amazon that can be used to store, input, change information about many different aspects of your account. Today, I'm going to be focusing only in the catalog templates, but there are many, and we will talk more about that later. So what's the structure? For you to familiarize with that, the structure is always fixed. So what I'll be showing you here, it is the norm for all the templates that you encounter on Amazon. And if you don't see the structure in a report or in an Excel file that you download from Amazon, that means that it is not a flat file. It is a report, which reports are non-changeable data. They are fixed. That's the report. You get ABC and that's it. You cannot change it. With flat files, you can. So we have the sheets. That's the sheets or tabs that comes within the file. And as you can see here, this is like the bottom of the spreadsheet, if you can see it in lower. And we have instruction, images, example, data definition, template. This example is based on the category listing report that I'll be talking about later, but this is how it works. And most things that you need to know about this template are explained here. So in the instructions, they tell me how this works. In the images, they tell you what are the requirements. In examples, they show you an example of how you should fill in the information. Data definitions, they give you, for example, if there is an attribute called style, they will tell you what style means for that specific category. Then template is the most important one, because in template is where you get to change and add and remove information. This is where the magic happens. And valid values, we're gonna talk about that in the next section. So the schema of the template is the pre-formatted information that is on top of the rows in the template section. So once you go to a tab that's called template, you will see a schema like this one, and this is fixed. Most time, like the majority of templates have it like colored, and that's just a guide that you should not change this. You cannot delete the third row or the second or the first. Like that's just the way it is, and you shouldn't change it. Then we have open fields. Open fields is where you input the information, and there are two types. This is very important. Two types of open fields. There are these ones, the rest of the sheet, the spreadsheet, the cells. We have cells that are closed, which is a drop-down menu with a certain amount of options. For example, the product ID type. When you click product ID type, they give you the option to choose UPC, EIN, ASIN, ESBN, and all that. And you cannot put anything that is not in that drop-down menu. If you do, you will get an error. That's like basic. And then we have the completely open fields that are, for example, the product name, which you can have any product name you want. The only limitation in most amount of fields, well, probably all, has a character limitation. So in some categories for title is 250, 150, it really depends. And that's the thing that will cut it. So the amount of characters you have. This is a very common error that I see when I talk about flat files and people start using it and input information in the backend of their file. They start and write a lot of keywords or a lot of search terms that are important for them in some fields that are open, but they put way too many. And once you go over the fixed amount, the system will just trigger an error and you won't be able to upload anything. Then you have the processing report. The processing report is not a part of the structure at the beginning. This only happens once you upload your flat file on Amazon, and it's giving you the results with errors or success. It really depends on what you upload. So it looks something like this. It will be in the tabs. So now instead of having instructions, valid values, and images and all that, you will also have one called processing report. And this is one of the most important features that we have. And this is why I think flat files are so useful when we are managing our inventory or our catalog on Amazon, is that basically with this report, you are able to diagnose your own issues or your catalog issues without calling or talking with seller support. And most times, seller support seems the same thing that you see here. It's like, oh, what's the error? Okay, this is the error, and they read it, and they can interpret the same way you do. So this is the best tool to do like a DIY, like do it yourself. That is telling you, hey, you have the product condition type is invalid. Okay, now you go to a template and you change it because you use something that wasn't in the drop-down menu, something like that. So the processing report is our best friend with the problem solving. So use it as much as you can, and I do recommend that you use, now we're going to talk about the category listing report, but you upload the category listing report and then read the processing report and see what are the findings that you have or discrepancies that you have in the backend. And lastly, the types of flat files. So as I mentioned, there are many types. We're going to be focusing on inventory and catalog, but you have flat files for shipping, orders, pricing, and advertising. And these ones are my 6 favorites for the catalog and inventory. So inventory specific categories are the ones to change and remove, add, or to do whatever you want in the catalog, but specific for the category of your product. So if you're selling a pet toy, you will have a flat file specific with that. And what that means is that the attributes, the columns, will be specific to your niche, right? So you won't see an attribute called shoe size. Why? Because you're selling a pet toy. So that's how we filter, the backend and the information. Then we have the inventory loader file, probably one of the most powerful flat files of all in the whole system, and it's so powerful with one feature, the X delete feature. The X delete is a way to delete things in your catalog without using the regular Seller Central UI when you click delete product, delete or close product. This will erase completely the async in the backend. So that's an amazing way to do troubleshooting and all that. I have created a lot of content around it. So if you follow throughout the whole way, I'll be able to show you where you can find more information about that. Then price and quantity, that's a super simple file where you have your SKUs and you can update price and quantity for FBM. Super quick. This is just useful when you are doing a lot of changes in bulk and you're not using a repricer. The shipping override template, that's to create shipping templates for the FBM orders. So that some states can have different fees and some other SKUs have different fees because they are bigger than other ones. So this template will help you to do that in bulk. So you can, if you have a huge catalog, this is very, very useful. The last two are the newest ones. So listing quality and suppressed listing. Now you see in your Seller Central, when you go to your managed inventory, you see suppressed listings or listing quality. That dashboard will tell you what are the listings that have issues, that are missing information or that have discrepancies in the backend. So this file is amazing because once you download it through that dashboard in Seller Central, it will specifically tell you where to go and what to fill in. So you don't need to guess what's going on or what's the issue that is facing. It's just the template will tell you, we're missing the size, or we're missing the color, or we're missing this type of whatever other attribute that is related to your product. And then automating pricing. This is if you use the repricer of Amazon. This helps you to create rules in bulk for different SKUs, just all for internal tools on Amazon. So let's talk about my favorite flat file of all, the one that summarize or have everything together with attributes, with price, with quantity, and shipping. Everything, the all-in-one flat file, is called the category listing report. And it has 5 main features. So it is only available by request. And this I put a note because for some accounts, and the majority of accounts that I'm seeing now, we don't need to request the access anymore. But last time I went into a webinar and I said that, a lot of people in the Q&A or in the comments were saying oh, but I don't see it. So right now I'll see that it is available by request or not sometimes. And I'll show you later how to download and see if you need to request it or you can download it directly. So this is your complete catalog information. Everything that you have in your catalog, all the SKUs, all the ASINs, will be in this report. And what is amazing about it is that it will put together different categories. So if you're selling food and you're selling pet toys and you're selling clothing, all the attributes for those categories will be all together in this massive file, the category listing report. And that's amazing to see, sometimes very overwhelming and intimidating for some. But the cool thing is that you can then start playing with those attributes and using attributes that are not developed for your specific category to see how we can, get more keyword space or SEO for that. Like the results is just like incredible. Then yeah, all category attributes. That's how what I would just mention there. If you're just selling in one category, you won't see any other ones, but it can compound everything. The other thing, and this is applicable to to the category listing report and every category specific template, is that they're customizable. So you can add or delete attributes within the template. And this is a question that I get many times when people start like engaging with flat files. They tell me something like, hey, Vanessa, I want to make changes in my listing, but I don't want to put the URL, or I don't want to change my image. I don't want to touch that section in a template. So what you do in those cases, when you don't want to change a specific attribute, or you don't want that attribute there, it's delete it. You can delete columns within your file, and that's completely okay. You're not gonna break it. The only thing, and I'll make a parenthesis here, you cannot delete the required ones, which is the first section, section that is like in light orange, or the top 3 rows that I show you at the beginning, which is the schema of the template. You cannot delete that. That's the only rule for the customization of your own template. And then catalog troubleshooting, it's the last feature. That's basically what I was talking about in the processing report. This will help you to troubleshoot. This will tell you what are the things that are happening in the back end of your listing and what you have wrong. So if you get something out of this video or this talk, is that you will go there, download your category listing report, and you can upload like it is right now, and it will probably come back with errors, and that will tell you just now if you have any discrepancies in the back end of your catalog, so you can solve it proactively. So how can I use a flat file in my business? I talk about like, yeah, you can use it by changing stuff, adding attributes, now that you understand how the contribution rights work and all that. But sometimes this is not very clear. And these are the 3 things that I believe that is the most important. And I think that the first one is the very, very most important, which is the database. Guys, you cannot understand when things are good, when times are good, you don't have any issues. You're just like cursing, like everything is perfect in your account, you're selling, you're super happy, and then you're going up in the ranking, or going down in the ranking, less ranking, but going up in search and indexation and all that. And that's when problems start happening. Why? Because you become a target. And many sellers don't have a backup for their catalog. So imagine that tomorrow you get hijacked, or tomorrow something changed in the back end of your listing and all the images are gone, or all the bullet points are gone. We don't tend to keep a database. And this is what a category listing report is the database of your catalog. This is the most important, or the biggest asset we have. If you think about it, we don't really own anything in our Amazon business. Yeah, we own the inventory because we pay for it. But as a system, we don't really own anything but the data, but the information that we have in our catalog. And it is very important that we don't only save that, right? Download it and save your information and start like adding more information and contributing to your asset, but also using it to protect it and to improve it. So it is your most valuable asset. And if you're here watching this and eventually planning to sell your business, make sure that you have this database like safe and in good shape, because most times, and this happens sometimes even when we don't even realize it, like sellers don't even realize it. Something changed in the back end of the listing and you don't realize it because you're not checking the product detail page every time. But if you use the category listing report and upload it frequently, you keep feeding the catalog, and it will give you more contribution points. It will position yourself better than any other seller that is trying to hijack you. So use it. Just if you don't want to play with them and you don't want to optimize anything in the back end, use them as a database and have them stored, because the day that something happened, you can upload back again and go back to what was good before. Second is the problem solving. They will help you manage your catalog in a day-to-day. This is very easy. So if you are optimizing for Father's Day, for Mother's Day, or for 4th of July, and you're changing something in the bullet points, it is super easy to do it through flat files, because you drag down a cell and you copy all of that in bulk. Remember that the main thing that this gives you is the bulk feature. You can do many things in bulk, like to all your catalog or to just one listing, versus doing it in the Seller Central UI. That takes a lot of time. So they will save you time, not only with that feature of like fixing everything in bulk, but also troubleshooting. So if you have any issues in the backend, now you know that once you upload it, any file will give you the processing report with the name of the problem and with a possible solution or guidance to solve it. So it's a game changer when saving time trying to figure out what happened to your listing. And lastly, brand protection. So I like to use them once you cover the basics, right? You optimize everything, you know what attributes you can use, you are saving that, and you don't have any issues. Now this becomes a brand protection as a defense offensive mechanism, where you can upload it very frequently. You can start changing things in the backend that don't really change much in the front end in Amazon.com in the product detail page, but in the backend will help you to index better. Will help you to get protected from any restricted products or restricted sales or anything like that. And when now that Amazon is developing more and more the filters in search. So now when you go to Amazon.com and search for something, for example, I don't know, toothbrush, now you can filter in the left side of your search. You can filter what type of toothbrush you want. So you want a medium toothbrush, you want an electric toothbrush. Those kind of things can only be done or can only be added in the back end of the listing if you use the flat file, because many of those cells are not even available in the Seller Central UI. So it is a game changer for some sellers that want to go really deep in niches, because you get to go on top of search for those for those filters. And lastly, I'll close with, your data is the most valuable asset for your business, so store it and manage it with care. And if you use the flat files for that, it's gonna be, and you will realize that it's gonna be a game changer. So open for Q&A.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Vanessa. It was very interesting to listen to you. And I think we hit the record. We received the first question already during your presentation. No, not during your presentation, but during your introduction. So people are really eager to ask you some questions as well. So,
before we go with the questions, I wanted first to ask everyone watching to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. I think it was very detailed and clear about almost boring thing. And also I wanted to mention that this session is part of SellerFest Online event, where besides 25 or more live streams for free, we asked presenting speakers to provide us additional what we call VIP video with additional content, and different speakers are providing different like templates, advanced strategies, walkthroughs, checklists. So you can deep dive in more details about different topics, and you'll find the link below in the description to access this package, to upgrade to it. And I wanted to ask Vanessa, what did you share in your VP video?
Oh, wow. That was very fun to make. So, I talk about how flat files can be customizable and how we can use attributes that are not part of our specific category into our category. So what I show in this video is the hands-on technique to go to your flat file, to your category listing report, and add columns that are not there first to protect your async from being restricted or suppressed or hijacked. And then I make recommendations and raise the question of like, what are the attributes that you can use from other sibling categories so you can start getting the most amount of SEO and ranking, like with using or leveraging the power of flat files. So that's a workshop. I don't know how long it took me, but once you go out from that presentation, you will have the knowledge to build what I call bulletproof listings. Like, they won't be able to get hijacked, and they also have the most amount of space and SEO that you can get on Amazon. So yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect. And as you asking how long it was almost 40 minutes. And it is just Vanessa's video. And some people, some videos are short, some are longer, but it's worth to check. And I think it's a great additional value for Amazon sellers if you want to go into more details of your Amazon business in different aspects. And now I think it's time for Q&A.
Yeah, let's start with the first question from Jeff. So he's asking, what are the gray cells when downloading a flat file?
Perfect. So Jeff, the gray cells only happen in your category listing report. And those are the cells that are not designed for that specific category. So, for example, you're selling in 3 types of category: clothing, food, and I don't know, sports and outdoor. And then you have a thing of flavor, for example, the attribute that's called flavor. Flavor is not an attribute developed for clothing. So you will see in your category listing report a gray cell, because technically, and that's what the system wants to tell you, is that technically you cannot input information there because it's not designed for it.
Okay, thank you so much. He also has some other questions for you. What categories do the parent titles take precedent over the child titles? How can you get the title to change when the customer clicks on the variation? So I think there's 2 different questions in it.
Yeah. Jeff, I don't remember the policy that changed recently, that changed this year. I know for sure the clothing, apparel, and shoes category is a category that the parent is the one that precedes all the child asyncs, just because the only difference technically should be size, color, or stuff like that. I think they were like 2 or 3 more categories that get override like that. I don't have it on top of my mind, but you can go back to the policies and read it. And how you can get to change it when customer clicks on the variation. That's if you are out of those categories, the child async will be able to change the title at every time they change or they click to other ones. If you're part of those variations, there is no way around that. Unless you change the category and you change the category of those asyncs, there is no way to change it back.
Okay, good. So it's not a question, but Christina said, I am in the camp of, I know what a flat file is, but I'm afraid to use them and mess up my listings. I have had bad experiences with using flat files on Amazon. And then Jeff commented that he was terrified of flat files until he started to watch your videos, and he even has a folder on his desktop with your flat file videos. So do you have anything encouraging to say, or what are the possible, let's say, things sellers can do wrong when they handle flat files?
Yeah, Christina, that's a great question, and I understand the frustration. First of all, the main thing for you to not feel that you're gonna, mess the whole catalog is paying attention to a column called update delete. That's, if I'm not mistaken, that's like a pinkish section. Once you go to that column, you should use only partial update. And using partial update, they will only give you the things, or the system will only change the things that you change. The other thing is to not to upload for example, you feel that you want to make changes and add some keywords in the back end, but then you only add keywords like in 2 or 3 cells, in 2 or 3 attributes. That's cool, that's amazing, but if you leave the rest of the file completely blank, that's where it can create problems. So what I talk about of customization is that you can use a flat file and just like change one field, specific field, one column, and then erase the rest. Obviously, you need to leave the required cells, which is the SKU, the AC, and all that, the name, the prototype. That doesn't move. That will always stay there. But by customizing and deleting everything that you're not changing, and also using partial update, that's basically a way of trying to make changes in a safe way. And if you have an error when doing it, you will have the processing report. So it's like a double, like it's a safe net, right? The partial update won't change anything if there is an error, and it will only change something if everything is good, right? So yeah, as Jeff said, I do encourage you to find more information. There are a lot of videos in YouTube that I've done with other in other channels about flat files. So if you want to learn more, go and type flat file and then maybe my name, and you will have some content. And also in the social media, I think I didn't get to share that slide, but you can follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and there you will be able to reach out if you have any questions. But we specialize in creating content about the unsexy stuff, like what Augustus said. Like, this is super boring and unsexy, and I know, but it's very important we understand how to manage. And if we get to know very, very well how to manage this, it could be a game changer for us in the long term and for all our catalog. So there is a lot of content about flat files. We actually have on Instagram, we have a guide, and we are soon gonna like create a ebook just for flat files.
Cool. Will it be a flat ebook?
Flat file ebook, yeah.
No, but the ebook will be flat, or?
Yeah.
All right. Jeff wants to know, seller support will not tell me who is the contribution rights owner. I have asked many times. Is there a secret?
They won't tell you. So for example, if we are sharing a listing, right, and other sellers contributed, they won't tell me, oh, Augustus is the main contributor of this listing. That's something that they cannot mention. But what they can say is like who or where in the contribution pyramid, where is the seller that is overriding or controlling that attribute. So for example, you go there and ask like, hey, why I cannot change my title? And they could say to you like, oh, because somebody in Vendor Central changed the title. And now you know it is a vendor. They will never tell you that is vendor ABC. Never. That they won't share that information, but you can know. Sometimes they even tell you, oh no, it's an internal team, let me check, right? And they don't even sometimes they tell you which internal team, but most times they don't tell you any, and like who is the contributor. They'll tell you where in the pyramid they are, so you can know next time you know that a vendor is contributing. This is something that you need to scale to the retail team, escalate, sorry, to the retail team so they can fix it. There is no other way.
All right. Next question is, do we need to request category listing report by ASIN or by brand? And is that the report we need to upload frequently to keep our ASIN feeded?
Yeah. Okay. Let me share here. I have, so if I can share the screen, this is something that I forgot to see. This is the SOP to download the category listing report. So I'm gonna go on the back. You go to your inventory, right? And in inventory reports, and then you will click here in the drop down menu, you will try to find the category listing report. If this is available to you, this is it. This is how you download it. And to answer empty question, you can download this and filtering by category. So once you request the category listing report, it'll tell you which category. So that's what I mentioned about, like, the category listing report puts together all categories. So if you filter it, you can have just the ones that are in food, just the ones that are in clothing, just the ones that are in sport and outdoor, or whatever it is. And listings created after. This feature is just if you release a line in 2021, right? That's the newer line of your product. You don't want to get the information of the ASINs that you developed in 2017. So you can use this. Honestly, I never used it. I like to have all. Like, I like to have all the information. So once you download it, you can filter things, right? So you go there and you can use the filter feature of Excel and say, like, okay, I want you to only show me brand ABC. And now you have your category listing report with just brand ABC. Or you want to filter this ASIN that has multiple SKUs, then you just filter that. And as far as how often you should feed it, so there is a industry standard right now that I've seen, and I hear a lot of people talking about it, of updating or optimizing your keywords in titles, in bullet points, in description every so often. So I heard 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. That really depends on your goals, and especially on the stage of your listing, because to do a launch, to launch a product, you shouldn't be changing the keywords that often. But once you have a mature listing, you can start like feeding that and changing information and adding more content as frequent as you seem that is needed, and uploading it, which is different from optimizing it. Uploading in Seller Central, you can do that daily. That doesn't matter. Like, you can do that whenever you want. And it's super important because once you upload something or the information for a listing, you will be the last contributor. So then you come the next day and you will be the last contributor. If there is somebody trying to hijack your listing through flat files, they will be last in the line, you will be always on top. So that technique is when you start getting a lot of hijackers, the fact of contributing, daily or weekly or monthly. But if you don't really suffer from that, I believe a good practice is just uploading every 30 days. Sometimes you even don't know. You uploaded in the last 30 days, right? And then in the next 30 days when you upload it, you see that there is a discrepancy because Amazon changed a type of attribute that is no longer there, or there are new attributes. And that's something very important, guys. The fact of uploading every so often is very cool because Amazon adds new attributes and new features very, very frequently. So before, for example, you were selling toys, and before you didn't have this specific feature, like, I don't know, color of the tower. I don't know. That wasn't there before, but now there is. They created it, and once you upload it, you will get a newer version. So in the newer version, you will see all the attributes that are new, and that never stops. It never stops. It's not like, oh, I build it today and I'm not gonna use this until, I don't know, ever again. The flat files are being updated in a, I don't know, monthly basis. Amazon adds more and more stuff every month.
Okay, thank you so much for all of these insights. Really, really interesting to listen to you. So we have a question. Can a flat file solve issues before you get your trademark?
Perfect, Roy. This question is related to the first part of the video where I cover the contribution rights. And the answer is yes, but depends. So if you created the listing and you own it, and the change that you want to make is not being override by anybody in a higher position, and I can go back to the slide to show you. If you're trying to solve something and the contribution or the change that you're making is not above here, so you're a professional seller without a trademark, no brand registry, the change must have 30 or less. So yeah, it is possible, but if the change comes from somebody that has brand registry or from an internal Amazon team, flat files won't be enough, and you will need to contact seller support.
Okay, thank you. So Sean is asking, what do you put in the columns that are not relevant to your product?
Sean, I use them. So this is what I cover in the VIP video. I play with them. So let's make an example, and I just gonna give you a sneak peek of what I did in the video for the VIP. Is that, imagine you're selling toys and you're selling clothing. So in the clothing, we have a column called style, right? Style is not an attribute related to toys, but I'm gonna use it. I'm still gonna use it. So in the toy async, I will put the style, I don't know, Barbie girl style. Technically, by the system, by the theory, that's not something that it is open for the toy section. But because I put that in the back end, the asyncs get fed that information. So three things can happen. First, that nothing changes, right? No impact whatsoever. It's just there, the information, but no changes. The second one is that that cell help you to index better. So I have tested this with keywords that were not anywhere in my listing. So I know this works because they were not in my listing and I got indexing by just that. But that cell or that style attribute is not shown in the front end. Okay. And this is it. It's just a backend door and backend pool of information that you can put. The third option, which is my favorite, and if you get that, it's just like a gold mine, is when the attribute that is not specifically for that category, you take it over and it's shown in the pro detail page. And I done this actually. I think in the video I talk about 3 or 4 columns that are like that. That if you take it and you put information, now it's shown in the front end, and that normally is not. So if you compare, and I show in the video also comparisons of listings that are using this and listings that are not using this, and you see that in the pro detail page of the ones that are using it, the amount of information is a lot more than the other ones. So this is where you start being like a mad scientist and start like playing with it. And I'm very confident with flat files, so I allow myself to play with that because I know that I'm not gonna break anything. But if you watch the video, you will find the columns. Actually, I give it to you, like there is the code and everything, and how to use them. So I don't discard anything, to be honest. That's the level that I am right now of like using and playing and protecting and optimizing.
So perfect. During your explanation, I also showed a sneak peek to the VP package, which people can get by using the link which is on the screen or in the description of this video. And we have a few more questions. No, the last question is from Idan. Do you have a course or training for advanced flat files managing?
It's in the pipeline. Actually, I did a master class of 8 hours in person in Miami. It was a workshop that I basically went with people with their flat files. They opened their computer and we were like building it. So what I just said, reply to Sean on like, what do you do with other attributes that are not related to your category? That's basically what we did. So it is coming. I need to work on doing something that is virtual, so not only the people that are in South Florida are able to attend, but yes, it is part of the journey, and I hopefully will be done by the end of or beginning of next quarter.
Yeah, perfect. And yeah, I think that's it. We have answered all the questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vanessa, for joining us today. It was super cool to listen to you, and hopefully Sellers got new tips how to work better with flat files.
Thank you so much for the invite, guys.
Yeah, and one more time, how do you help Amazon sellers and how can they find you?
Yes, so all of what I talk about, the unsexy stuff, we deal with catalog, inventory, and account health. So if you have any issues in Seller Central, feel free to reach out. We help seller with all sizes. It doesn't matter if you're like 19-figure sellers or 5-figure seller. It's just like if you have an issue, we can help. So yeah.
All right, perfect. And yeah, thank you very much, Lisette. Thank you, Vanessa. Yeah, we get a few more people cheering. I think there is somebody else. Do you have a... Oh, no, this was already there. Okay.
Coming,
all right.
It's coming.
No, do you have a course, flat course at least? All right, thank you very much, Vanessa. And if you enjoyed everyone who enjoyed the content, please click the like button and subscribe below in the description. And now I would like to invite you to watch other video about flat files where our guest Ali Hobart will explain how you can get your Amazon listing changes approved using flat files.